Hello, everyone. Now we move on to session number 46, which is under the unit 4 of BSc 6M Computer Network. I acquaintance myself, Sangaya Swami, as an assistant professor working with the GFGC Alanka Bangalore 64. Now, let me take you to the session 46 before we begin with understanding the various concepts of session number 46. The title content of this particular session is one of the very interesting topic, especially that internet world of internet is concerned. As I'm telling you now, internet world is always deals with a different understanding of a services. What do you mean by different understanding of a services? Each service which we render towards either in a P2P network, either with the simple device to terminal network, or maybe the server to a terminal, we always have intricacies like how best the service that we need to render towards a continuous communicating to a process. In regard to that, there is one important, as I said, it's a very interesting topic that today's discussion is IPv6, that is Internet Protocol having a version 6. We have already come across that there are the two different versions that so far the global has scaled up. One is IPv4, that is Internet Protocol version 4, and Internet Protocol version 6. And ICMP, there is another important protocol that enable us to understand in depth of how these communication mechanism, how these communication process, especially in internet system, is made us to know the different pattern of data communication. These protocol emerged as an advancement in the technical stuff is concerned, and these protocols is always given an edge of transforming your old conventional method of technology into an always a new way of handling these technologies. Let's move on to IPv6 and ICMP protocol system. What is IPv6? That is a short acronym of IPv4 addresses. This means that in IPv4, Internet Protocol version 4 has some shortcomings. As you know, when the more number of subscribing portable autonomous systems are getting connected vertically or horizontally, then there is an enhancement in the process of communication, and these protocols will need to accommodate. When a more number of people are started using an internet system, then there is always a finding in the shortage of IPv4. And internet is expanding very rapidly in developing countries like India and the China, or maybe many other countries like US, UK, and other European nations, or the Arabian nations, or Emirate nations. Like if you name anything where the people are definitely using internet as a part of their day-to-day operation system. Now, when new devices are getting connected to your internet protocol system, there is a necessary to allocate a provision. There is a necessary to allocate either provisionally or definitely a one particular IP address to give you how best these machines can be addressed in the physical terms of connecting an internet system. Right now, as many of us we know that new devices like phones need an IP address when it connects to an internet. And when it connects to internet, this means that even a part of mobile communication is also enhanced the established a communication to your network. So that's what they said, the end-to-end reachability is not possible without an IPv6. The main reason behind migrating from IPv4 to IPv6 is we always want an enhanced flexibility in addressing a physical address of a system. And when the physical address of a system needs to be enhanced directly when we connect to devices, then obviously IPv4 is not sufficient and it doesn't yields more number of process, then we have to stick on to an IPv6. Now new features like auto configuration, better support mechanism for operating systems, mobility, security systems, and route summation and aggregation system, jumbo frames, and advanced datagram management system, and packet synchronization. So there are the many number of features that is been added in IPv6. That's why we need to migrate from IPv4 to an IPv6. That is one simple reason why we have to stick on to an IPv6, right? So there are many such other operational requirement, and these operational requirements are each devices when we connect, it is necessary that an increased amount of data is to be get transmitted over a network. Then it is, as I said, then you need to accommodate those devices for a transmission as well as enhancing the flexibility of a system of transaction. We move on to one more important concept herein is IPv6 address mechanism. So this particular diagram will clearly illustrate what is a frequency, what is a particular address of IPv4 used to have in allocating a system of addresses, and IPv6. In IPv4, we used to address with the help of or the standard format of 32 bits. I mean 4 bytes long of 32. Means there are the, as I said, there is a class, a different classes address of mechanism system. So 32 bits are 4 bytes long needs to be addressed. So this means that these number of possible addressable nodes can exhibit physical connectivity in the world. Because IP is always in unique, it is not going to repeat any of the system in a global. So IP always makes an unique way of identifying each system, including anything. I'm not talking about only a simple PC. Each physical addressing system establishes uniquely and no repetition of any of address. So IPv4 is maximum allocation of IPv4 address is only the 32 bits, but in case of V6, it has been extended to 128 bits of it. So this means that if you think 128 bits are the 16 bytes of it, then the enhancing 3.4 designated number of address mechanism into 10 to the power of 38 possible addressable nodes. This means that in the universe, for the next 500 years, you need not migrate any of the IP address mechanism. So those many number of allocation of an addresses can be created with these kind of a system in IP address mechanism. Now IPv6 header format. When you stick on to IPv6 header format, or when we want to know that in depth of understanding IPv6 header format, these are the standard. In IPv4, 20 bytes plus in options of IPv6 has a 40 bytes plus an extension header. So there is a clear comparison I made in this particular slide here as IPv4 header have a version, type of services, total length. In the previous sessions also I have explained while addressing a different classes of IP address mechanism, I have clearly explained you how these header system will enable us to understand different address mechanism. Identification, flags, fragmented offset, time to leave, protocol, different identification of protocol, header checksum before before dispatching and reassembling units, source address, destination address, add-on options. As I said that 5 bytes of it or maybe 8 bytes of it, there's n number of possibilities are there. But in comparison to IPv6 header, IPv6 addressing mechanism, one is they reduce the complexity of these things. Version, traffic class in which that particular data is there in the traffic class. Next is flow level of different packet flow is called the flow label, and what is a payload length, and the next header you can use it hopping, or the next header for creating for the transmission or hop limit. So these are the certain basic idea about how these, and of course consisting of source address and destination address. Now what we are trying to get extracted an idea or a knowledge about the differentiate between IPv4 and IPv6. The first difference is IPv4 header is a bit of a very complex system, has a many parameters to be listed along with the source and address destination with the payload. But in IPv6 header, they have reduced the complexity by having only the few parameters connecting to source address and destination address. These are the some standard way of differentiating. Okay, we move on to next important another discussion is IPv6 address types are various categorical address methods are there. Unicast. Uni, the word itself means a single interface. It addresses is for the single interface called the unicast. What do you mean by the unicast? A single address for a single interface system is called unicast. In a multicast, what happens here is one to a many system of addressing mechanism in a IPv6 address has clearly elaborated. If you refer any textbook, they clearly indicated there's a more number of multicast options in an internet world of technology has enhanced. This is one to many addressing types technologies which is there, and of course it enables more efficient use of network when a more number of terminals are connected, either in a sequential, either it may be a randomized, or it may be any other thing we called as multicast system. Now any cast, there's a three different, as I said, in an addressing type of an internet protocol mechanism: unicast, multicast, and anycast. In anycast, one to nearest. This means that allocated from unicast address a space to be allocated to a next hopping, using a next hopping mechanism to create an address for allocating to a next channel of data transmission. And multiple devices which share the same address. So suppose let us assume that you have 10 computers connected in one hopping of this thing, then all these 10 have a similar, because it's all in the serialization. And here we need not worry about how physically. No, all these systems been identified as one unique addressing system. Okay, of course we can create a submask to identify the differentiate between one system to another system, but in any cast, one terminal has to be get connected to any number of a system. So, and multiple devices share the same address. So it becomes a static, no dynamic. It becomes a static. When it becomes a static, this means that when each system has a uniquely addressing mechanism, means a packet which is being transferred to a level of an addressing has uniquely, and sometimes the same data packet it will replicates. I mean, it will duplicates in many system. If the some system can access, it is useful. Some system may not be required to access. It may becomes an idle. But in any cast, we always used to have a multiple system with a single address mechanism. Okay, and all anycast nodes should provide a uniform services in spite of their connectivity, or in spite their interfaces, in spite their application OS potentiality is concerned. So anything in the anycast, it will ensemble or it will associate having a same uniform services which renders from the server to a client system. All Anycast nodes, and it sends different packets to different nodes by assuming all are uniformity address in the process of identifying the system, right? Now it is link local. The scope is a local link nodes on the same subnet, and unique local. Link local means the scope is a local link where nodes on the same subnet can be connected to any amount or any number of systems as a terminal. In case of unique local, the scope is organization private site addressing. In a global, the scope is a global IPv6 addressing. These are the some different mechanism of addressing the things. Now IPv6 address representation. If you very closer or look into what you call that is a very minutely, each 16-bit hexadecimal field we need to identify them as address header reference point, so that leading zeros in the field are in options. This is a simple representation in a 20310 and so many numbers, and each successively fields of 0 can be represented as a double colon of segregation, but only one per address can be able to designate as a segregators. So this is a simple example. If you maximize it, this is a simple example of how this, say let us assume that 2031 130 and all these things is being segregated in the form of addressing mechanism. Okay, we move on to next important. How do we represent link global? Host on the same link, that is the same subnet, we use these automatically configured address to a communication with each other. And neighbor discovery provides an address resolution, and each address resolution has a neighboring element to consider for allocation and transmitting forwarded to the next packets which we receive. And the neighbor always discover provides an address resolution or address request resolution, or there is a separate protocol we use called ARP, that is address request protocol. So ARP, and the prefix for the local link address is always a similar kind of this, like a FE80 and 64. And the following illustration shows the structure of link local addresses. 10 bits is an initial point of references, 54 bits is a second interfaces, and third interface ID is a 64 bits. This is a way that we need to address in a standard process mechanism of IPv6. And IPv6 unicast, unique local addresses are similar to IPv private addresses, but only one thing we need to know here is it automatically detects these number once if it has been allocated in the system generated unique number in the world of computing system. So of course it's a very one of the best interesting factor in a computer network is how this system will uniquely identifies and allocates systematically. So there is a particular global connectivity phenomena in which that IP addresses can be identified. The scope of unique local address is an inter-network of an organization site. You can use both global addresses and unique local addresses in your network. So while setting up an intranet, each system we can configure on ourselves by starting different classes. So there are the certain devices that we can allocate for a class A, there are the certain devices that we can allocate for a class B, and there are the certain devices that we can allocate for a class C. So of course there is an extended for future use and other things that we can reserve it, but normally these are the some standards that we need to follow in identifying. And the prefix for unique local address which always begin with this particular stream of representation, right? So this is address representation in link local, connecting before connecting to a global network. It has 10 bits for initial format which consists of these 10 bits may be representation of locally with a hexadecimal indicative, and this is of course an unique, but within the premises of where your computer terminals are connected, followed by the remaining 54 bits of it, and it has to be interface with the respective id having a 64 bits of a data. So this is completely in total of say 10 bits. Then we have a 54 bits, means this is a 64 bits. The 64 bits and the 64 bits makes a 128 bits of your physical allocation of these IP addresses to a system when it connects to using an IPv6 mechanism. So mandatory address for communication between two IPv6 devices can be established. Obviously, we cannot ignore the system which we need to generate from one system of computing to another system of computing in the longer run. So now automatically when it assigned by the router as soon as IPv6 is enabled, this means that particular number is already allocated to a device. And there's a similar items that we can use, same address mechanism. So in a dynamic also, your network administrator will make sure that these numbers will be automatically addressed to any one of the system. Now we move on to a next discussion here is address representation in the global unicast. Global unicast in the sense that your complete network is going to be in a public domain where the many people can access anywhere in the physically located, the geographically located of a person, right? So the simple addressing representation or address representation in a global unicast means unicast in the sense identified synchronized only one dedicated address with globally. Global in the sense anywhere in the world the people can access. So when you connect to this, global unicast and anycast addresses are defined by global routing or the prefix subnet ID and interface ID is being generated. If you maximize this, see, look into this. Up to 23 bits of it, it has a registry. Up to 32 bits is a site prefix. Up to 48 is a site prefix in an extended. And the difference between ISP prefix and the site prefix. ISP in the sense Internet Service Provider prefix to establish where the source of channelization is there from getting communicated it. And the last up to 64 bit is a subnet prefix. So from 23, 32, 48 and the 64. All these things are the area of a header in which your data packets and the formats are relying on that. And next is the interface ID, which is how best that these sequences which we generated to identify them is communicating with that particular unit number, we generally called as interface ID. And the interface ID is useful for addressing any of the system. It may be a printer or it may be a computer system or it may be any other accessories. The list is an endless. So this means that list is endless. So we can allocate the mechanism of your unicast addressing. So this is a representation of EUI. I have already explained you. It is an extended universal identifier. We call it as an EUI. Here IPv6 uses the extended universal identified EU64 format to do a stateless auto configuration, right? So whether it is an idle state, whether it is the computer is on anything, but here how many number of systems when you get enabled, these are the IP addresses that automatically get updated to a system where your system is getting connected to a network. And this format expands a 48-bit MAC addresses to a 64 bits by inserting FFFE into the middle 16 bits. So these are what you call as a basic principle that we need to follow in identifying the real system. Okay, we move on to the next important discussion is this is an IP address representation in a standard format. If you maximize here, Where exactly your data is lying here, we follow the representation of 0 and 1 along with the UL bit as in what you call as another non-numerical values, or you can say the one standard values of it. And modified UI04 addresses like 0090, this is one, FE, and another things are. Where the G has a multicast address, 1 represent the unicast, 0 represent the multicast address system. Well, we move on to the next important discussion. Here is stateless auto configuration. As I said, one of the important service of a TCP/IP is when any autonomous system connected to an internet, without the wait period, it has to be get allowed into a system. Of course, this is the area where the hackers will make use of ensuring there is somebody, an administrator is sitting to monitor all your data packets which are coming in and which are going in. And the stateless address configuration, we generally call as a SAC, stateless auto configuration. It consists of IP address and default router address. Carrying these two important components for the longer duration of the transmission, it always gives what you call the inner strength in the network, that these systems will always and alive, and these systems will not be perish simply any one new network has coming into the scene, because these things it always get attentive in the process of flow of data. And nodes get prefix information from the router advertisement and other complete using a MAC addresses. Global address link prefix, global address can be accessed like it is similar to a link prefix, but EUI we called as a we called as EUI. These mean extended interfaces, right? Router address is a default gateway before you entering into it. These are the stateless auto configuration example. MAC address has 000E, 0C, 31C8 and 1F. So in use 64 addresses, we use an extended machine address like 20E, OC, FE31 and many more. This is one of the best example that we can represent. And each time when the PC initiates for a transmitting through unique IP address which is been allocated from the your network connectivity or the network administrator, and your router will definitely change the corrective action plan for transmitting a data packets in case if the similar address is existed in the network, right? So these auto advertisement router will definitely get on the way of different systems of it, right? Now we move on to this. This is a simple example at root at VSNL proxy if and configuration. This echo, this is a script that we used to run for inserting and analyzing different data packets in the standard method of addressing this thing. Now, one of the extended form of discussion as per your IPv6 is concerned, it always follows some standard of configuration, and these standard of configuration is applicable to any person or to any company which holds the complete stake in configuration of your computer name communication system. And it provides not only an IP address, it also other configuration parameters like DNS. So these DNS also help to useful to implement of these kind of a protocols into the real time. So this is a client system, and client system, I'll tell you again, I am trying to repeat you a simple definition of what is a client and what is a write. So in a client system, we request and server system needs to respond it. So this is a continuous interaction. We'll create and store it one of the terminal. See here, as I'm working from this particular place and my location and the devices indicates non-sharing, but still I can able to get connect to one of the terminal in another network or other network areas, then definitely these it initiates a link to obtain the configuration parameters. Who will do the configuration? One of the simple idea about is, when you initiate the certain mechanism in computing system, your computer network really functions on the basis of connectivity devices. And these connectivity devices, we have to always depends on obtaining the configuration in a parameters of a system. Okay. Next it uses its link local address to connect to a server, which is remotely is also possible. But anyhow, here when you are trying to access in a real time of a system, it is always necessary to identify those amount of data that can act as a intermediate to delivery system or the drop messages, and each interactions will trace out. This is with the help of what you call as a client and the server system. And of course it is on the same link as it is indicated or directed by a network administrator, so he can shift these data elements to any casting. Then you can easily understand. These are the some few basic idea about DHCP. Routing on a IPv6, some protocols as in IPv4, like a static, ARPing, OSPF3, and 8GP4. This is one of the system. Using this, the ping 6 and the traceroute commands to check reachability and the route to a system. Now, this is a simple diagrammatic explanation of routing an IPv6. To allocating our existing system can be allocated in a standard way of configuration. And who will do the configurations? I'll tell you. Your network administrator, and all cannot afford the network administrator. If you are already implemented your project into a server, the server will definitely allocate on the basis of routing an IP, routing through an IP. And aggregation of prefixes announced in the global routing table has an efficient and scalable routing. And this particular part is very important in IPv6. We move on to the next important, is called Internet Control Message Protocol, ICMP. Why we have to control the Internet Control Protocol? The ICMP enables to know that what are the parameters that we need to remember before we establish. Now here ICMP is a such protocol mechanism system. Here it always renders services based on the quantumization of transfer to one system to another system on the basis of continuously, or on the basis of message acquired, or on the basis of different protocol mechanism that comes as a part of it. And that's why we call it as the Internet Control Message Protocol. So this protocol has given an idea about how systems that generally functions in a list of implementation. Now ICMP, especially in Internet Control Message Protocol, this protocol delivery a standard at TCP/IP internet layer to know that the status of datagram or the status of data packet which we sent is reached to a destination. And in the meanwhile, the destination will always find out the machine code, which is, and these are able to communicate in the process of transmitting over a period of a time. And these protocol will help you to read more amount of data which is coming in identifying it, and the same thing will get transmitted, right? So before we complete this thing, ICMP messages is carried in the information field of an IP packet. That's a very important here. And these several ICMP message types are like error messages, error protocol messages, which generates because when any of a data packets be lost, we need to know that the lost packets before handing over to another important. And this is a echo request. I mean, and options for requesting and options for expecting a responses. Several ICMP messages types are there. ICMP query, request, and message asked host if it is active or non-active. That is how the interaction begins from other internet protocols to an ICP. Here, other internet protocols in the sense immediate protocols which we use in the form of responsive is your TCP/IP, right? So we move on to our next is ICMP. Again, ICMP and extended. Several ICMP messages types are like flow control source, quench of it, and other things which are connected to your ICMP protocol system. So overall, this internet control message protocol system enable to whom we should need to address in the typecasting messages, right? Okay, this is an implements query supervisory messages. We have only given a few important examples to identify how ICMP is dealt with it. Okay, there are the many more service oriented things can be achieved at least by reading some more article on ICMP protocols and the different TCP/IP protocols. Then you will get a complete idea about how these protocols makes directly or indirectly an impact on our day-to-day transaction system. Okay, so I'll just conclude this session. So meanwhile, please go through and all the LMS content, including your study material, including MCQs, download the PowerPoint slides, or visit our video content that will help you to know the system better, to read and configure. Right? Okay, I'll just conclude here. Thank